Please have a seat. Welcome, everyone. For those of you up front here, I just saw you across the way before we made this march across campus in the heat, so thank you for bearing with us on that. I wish none of you had to wear a suit like me, and I see sandals and flip-flops, so you're doing much better than I am at this point. But I want to welcome you all here to DePauw University and welcome you home. We are here on the first day, and we have a special thing we do every year when we come to move-in day like this, and this year's a little different than usual. We usually have the first person that deposits to enter the class come up, and it's been a female student because we all know females have their act together more than most guys do. But this year we actually had to figure out a different gift than roses to give to the first deposit because it was a young man. So now I'm going to embarrass somebody really bad, and I'd like to welcome Jake Rabner up here. He was the first person to join the class of 2023. No roses, but really good. And with that, I would like to pass this very, very important piece of paper over, and this is the class of 2023 to Dave Berque and Alan Hill, and you can take it from here for the next 4 years.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dave Berque. I'm DePauw's Vice President for Academic Affairs and a Professor of Computer Science. And on behalf of Academic Affairs and the entire DePauw University faculty, it's truly my pleasure and honor to welcome you and your families and friends to our academic community. I've had the privilege of teaching at DePauw since 1992 when I joined this faculty as a Professor of Computer Science. Deciding to come to DePauw was the best professional decision I ever made. My colleagues who sit behind me have been inspiring, but just as importantly, our students have had a huge impact on my personal and professional life. I know the faculty will have a huge impact on you over the next 4 years, but I also know that you will have a huge impact on the faculty. We are going to learn together in ways that we cannot anticipate over the next 4 years. And I'd like to ask you to take a moment and applaud the faculty who just applauded you and thank them in advance for what they're going to do. Steve Jobs once said, "You can connect the dots looking forward. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever." And in a related passage, Steve Jobs, again, once explained a calligraphy class that he took in college this way. He said, "It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle, in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had any hope of any application, any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me, and we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would never have had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts." I happen to be a Windows fan, but he says, "And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them either." So I want to provide you with my own take on Steve's experience, and then I will share my hope for how his experience will apply to you. Although I'm a computer scientist now, when I sat in your seat as a first-year college student, I thought I was going to be a physician. I brought a typewriter with me to college and was very, very excited that it was an electric typewriter unlike the manual model that my first-year roommate had. I had never written a computer program. I had never sent an email message. My first year in college, I took a computer science course for the only reason that my father had told me he thought computers would be important to medicine in the future. And I could tell you, I thought that was the first and only time that my father had been right in my life. So I know students can identify with that. Yet, although I took the course to help me become a better physician, yet what I found was that I loved computer science. It became my major and later my career. After my first year in college, I taught tennis to children during the summer, in part to earn extra money. Yet, I found that I loved teaching, and it too became my career. Upon witnessing someone break their nose with blood gushing out in all directions, I ran toward them because I wanted to help. Yet, I found out that I pass out when I see blood. Not a good thing for an aspiring physician. And I actually ended up being awakened by a nurse who was treating me for a bump on my head. I bought a modern laptop computer my senior year in college to make it easier to complete that senior year. Yet, I realized that laptops are really, really heavy. I worked out all summer in order to be able to do that. And then at the end of the day, I had to have my colleague Doug Herms carry this in to the hall for me. I took a psychology course because it met a graduation requirement. Yet, I later learned that understanding human psychology is important to designing good software. I took a piano course and a music appreciation course because I knew little about music. Now I can better appreciate concerts and other performances. There are many more examples I could provide, but the important thing is that I could not have connected these dots looking forward. I could not have predicted how each dot would assemble into the story that makes me who I am professionally and personally. I did not take a computer science course to become a computer scientist. I did not take a job teaching tennis because it would help me become a teacher. But looking back, these dots make perfect sense, and they allow me to tell you my story. What does this mean for you, the newest members of our community? Well, my wish for you is that you're willing to experience lots of dots during your time at DePauw. These dots may consist of classes, meeting new people, completing an internship, studying off campus, you name it. You may not always know how the dots will connect to your future, and truthfully, some of them will not, but many of them will. 4 years from now, as you prepare for graduation, I know you will each have your own story to tell about your DePauw dots and how they have connected to make you who you are and to help prepare you for where you will go. I cannot wait to watch all of these stories unfold and to be an active participant along with my colleagues in many of them. Again, welcome to DePauw. We are truly, truly thrilled to have you here. Thank you. So next, it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, Alan Hill, who's DePauw's Vice President for Student Academic Life and Dean of Students.
Good afternoon, everyone. Boy, am I glad to see you. Welcome to campus. As you said, I'm Alan Hill, the Vice President for Student Academic Life and Dean of Students, but I'm a proud graduate of DePauw University. And as a lot of folks know, I'm a tiger. Yeah, and you'll find out what that means over time here. On behalf of President Mark McCoy, I would like to ask all current students, faculty, staff, coaches, administrators who are present to please stand and help us to formally welcome the class of 2023. Thank you. Today you have 430 new students that join you in your class. And as you can tell, we're extremely excited about welcoming you here and your parents and guardians to DePauw University's family. The class of 2023 will be joined by 9 transfer students and 3 exchange students. You also have the opportunity, we have our faculty on the stage, we have 12 new full-time faculty members and 6 part-time faculty members join you as well. Classes will soon begin. Our outstanding faculty are eager to return to the classrooms to meet and truly get to know each and every one of you and impart their wisdom and knowledge, stretch your minds, pique your curiosity, and expect your very best, while at the same time truly committing to supporting you along the way so that you can navigate our academic curriculum. And yes, that can even happen at 8 a.m. classes. At this time, I would like to ask all the new students to please stand and acknowledge those who helped you move all that stuff in, as well as recognize your parents and guardians for making this all possible. Thank you. Parents, it gives us great pleasure to thank you for putting your trust in us. Please know that we do not take this lightly. We look forward to fully engaging with your student in an effort to make sure that they all have the opportunity to realize the true benefits and the full value of their DePauw education. As parents, you know there is no better joy than investing in one's education. President McCoy has stated many times before, we are DePauw University, and the top-tier education that the students will receive here will change their lives so that they can become the leaders that the world needs. Let me quickly provide you with a snapshot of the class of 2023. Thanks again, Jake, for getting everything started. Enjoy that blanket. You are joined by 17 valedictorians and 7 salutatorians. The average GPA for those who were admitted this year was approximately 3.8, and those who officially enrolled today carry in an average GPA of 4.06. Isn't that something? There are 9 Rector Scholars, 8 Lilly Community Scholars, 17 Bonner Scholars, 22 Posse Scholars, Well, at least we know someone's happy to be here today, right? 14 students have already participated in our Servicio program. 69 of you come from legacy families, so there are very big smiles in the audience with parents. Welcome back to campus, and we're happy to have the legacy continue. 28 students of your classmates are joining DePauw's Professional School of Music. 32% of you will be participating in the Honors and Fellows program. DePauw remains committed to building an inclusive community, so we are pleased to welcome 77 international students from 20 countries. Places like Argentina, Mongolia, China, Japan, South Africa, Pakistan, Ethiopia, just to name a few. There are 29 different states represented. So I'll give a quick shout out to South Carolina, Wisconsin, Arizona, Washington, California, New York, right? And of course, Indiana, right? 94 of you are first-generation students, so please know that you are not alone. Ninety of your classmates are domestic students of color. Our athletic director and coaches are happy to know that 175 of you are student athletes. And you know what's amazing about that? 77% of those were captains of their high school teams, right? So we bring in leaders and we send you out as leaders. How about a classmate that trained for the U.S. Olympic and Gymnastics team and also was named Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Student of the Year after helping to raise $379,000. Well, Jake thought he got embarrassed. Well, I met Maddie today in the hall, and she's a basketball player here. But the great thing, if you know Indiana, basketball is pretty popular in the state of Indiana. Well, she carried her team to the state finals and was awarded the Treschler Award for mental attitude and outstanding academics. So, Maddie, I know you didn't want that to happen, but I did it to you anyway, right? And I saw the coach afterwards. The coach said, "She can shoot it." And I said, "Okay." You also have a two-time independent filmmaker in your midst, as well as a CEO founder of an environmentally friendly alternatives business. I could go on, and on, because all of you bring your talents to DePauw University, and we want you to be fully engaged in our community so that we can have a community that is built on support and make sure that you get the full experience here. So before I finish, I'd like to welcome Leslie Smith, our Executive Director of Alumni Engagement. I forgot her last year, so I couldn't do it this year. Leslie, the Executive Director of Alumni Engagement, to the podium. Let me just say and end by saying, wow, what a class. Welcome to DePauw.
Good afternoon, class of 2023. Oh, you sound so sad to be here. I want you to sound excited. Let's try this one more time. Hold on. Good afternoon, class of 2023. Yes! That's what I want to hear. Welcome to DePauw. On behalf of 31,077 alumni, leaders and thinkers across the nation and the world, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the DePauw family. Today, you begin not just a four-year college experience, but a lifelong association with faculty, staff, and friends. Through your enrollment to DePauw, you've earned access to an extraordinary network of accomplished graduates who are there to help you navigate the DePauw experience and prepare for life and work beyond graduation, because that's why we're here, right? Yes. You'll have an opportunity to engage with alumni starting this Sunday as 36 Gold alumni, and Gold stands for Graduates of the Last Decade. They return to campus to join your orientation mentor groups in discussion. Many of your college internships and postgraduate opportunities are made available by your alumni. You are also the second class in DePauw history to embark on the Gold Commitment. Our commitment to you is that 100% of your graduating class will have plans within 6 months of graduation for employment, fellowships, or graduate professional school. So I highly, strongly, and enthusiastically encourage you to make use of the alumni network and the gold commitment as you choose a major, participate in co-curricular activities on campus, seek an internship or off-campus experience, study abroad, and make plans for your first job or graduate school experience. DePauw alumni are intensely loyal and committed to sharing their time, expertise, and financial support to you with the same quality of life-changing experiences they enjoyed as students. Regardless of our roles today, all of us are gathered here, regardless of our roles today, all of us gathered here are beneficiaries of generations of noble alumni philanthropy. A matter of fact, you experienced alumni, or I should say you experienced philanthropy at work today as you moved in. Our alumni are also major contributors to the campus's construction, specifically $2.1 million in donations for new campus housing just for you. So if you haven't figured it out by now, we, the alumni, have your back. We support you. We want you to be successful. We know you will be successful, and we will do everything in our power to help you. In 4 short years, which will pass faster than you can honestly imagine, you'll be a proud part of our deep alumni tradition. I personally look forward to getting to know you and to following your successes. Class of 2023, on behalf of all of my fellow alumni, near and far, welcome home. And now I would like to introduce to you Summer Pappachen, class of 2020, your student body president. Summer?
Hi, y'all. My name is Summer Pappachen, and I am your student body president. Honestly, I am so happy to be here today to be able to talk to you, introduce myself on behalf of our student government, and to welcome all of you to our vibrant community of students. So right now, I'm a senior, and that means that I've survived 3 years of college here. Thank you. But that doesn't mean that I forgot what it felt like on that first day. Everything is moving so fast, too fast. You gotta say goodbye to your families for the first time, and so it can be a lot. So let's talk about some life stuff today. Stuff that I went through that I know is on your minds. Right now, you're probably thinking about friends. How am I gonna make them? Will I ever have any? Will I hate my roommate? What am I gonna do this weekend, right? But while you're thinking that, I can promise you that every single person sitting next to you is thinking the exact same thing. Because it's not silly stuff, right? It's real. It's about how you're gonna build your life here. And I know, because when I was sitting in this auditorium 3 years ago, in the back left, thinking I was too cool for school, to be honest, I was scared. I was scared of what the next 4 years of my life were gonna be like. But let me tell you what it's gonna be like. You are gonna see it all. You're going to have the biggest ups and downs that you've ever had in your life right here on this campus. You are gonna make friends, but you're also gonna lose them. Some will fade away, but some will become your ride or dies for life. You're gonna fall in love. You're gonna get your heart broke. That's facts. But as for your roommate, sometimes, yeah, you are gonna hate them. But you also might just find a lifelong friend in someone that you never thought you'd even hang out with. And if you're wondering about what you're gonna do this weekend, honestly, don't worry. Yeah, you might go out, you might get it poppin', but if not, you can come watch The Office with me, because that's what I'm gonna be doing, so. But I'm glad to be here to say all this to you so that you can dispel your anxieties, and honestly, everything is gonna be okay. But I'm also here to tell you about something very serious. Because while I love this place, and it has come to be my home, I know that it has flaws. And you too need to know that. So what I'm about to tell you is not unique to DePauw University, because every campus in this country faces the exact same issue. Every year, acts of abject racism are committed on our campus by students against students of underrepresented groups. And it is some dark stuff, let me not kid you. Messages from the KKK, death threats, violent language, and vandalism. Sparing you the details, these acts are often committed by first years in their first few weeks here in the first-year dorms. But why am I telling you this? Well, first is to let you know that my student government has absolutely zero tolerance for any kind of bigotry on this campus. It's facts. Yeah, and that's facts. But second of all, I'm also telling you this because you need to know about the problems that exist in the community that you are about to enter and call home. You need to know so that you can be a part of the solution and not the problem. For if we cannot address an issue, or we can never address an issue if we refuse to acknowledge that it is even there. And with that, class of 2023, I put my trust in you. I put my trust in this group of bright, passionate, young students to stand up to any form of oppression on our campus and to never fall to the level of hate, but to rise always to the occasion of love. But what does this look like exactly, right? Being a part of the solution. Well, for one, it's recognizing that even though hate exists here, so does love. And real love looks like resistance. So do not feel scared when I tell you what I tell you. Instead, let it energize you to join in the fight for all of our liberation, as it has done for students time and time again on this campus. Whenever racist acts happen, we don't sit quiet, yo. Students stand up, we band together, and we raise our voices. And I have seen myself how times of trial can be the most uniting and show us the power of our solidarity that we never thought we could even have. And so, my advice to you is to be a part of that resistance if life ever gives you the chance. And furthermore, being a part of the solution also looks like surrounding yourself with some dope people. And that can be students, staff, or faculty. But these are people who are change seekers, who believe in you and who believe in a better future for all of us. And you can do this by joining student organizations on our campus who have done important work in this regard. And not to plug my own organization, but like DePauw Student Government, like Feminista, Oxfam, the Association for African American Students, Committee for Latinx Concerns, and like the Democratic Socialists of DePauw. And so you can do this so that you can join in a legacy of standing up to injustice. And that is my wish for you, to realize the power in you to stand up to systems that are greater than yourself, for reasons bigger than yourself. Even if you think, man, I'm not all that, even if you think you're not special, you think you're not brave, I'm here to tell you that you are. Because all you need is the will to do the right thing. And so I want you to realize that agency in you to breathe change into our world, but that can only start right here on our campus. And lastly, to end a little bit lightly, even though you may not have realized it, we got you, and that's your student body. As your student government, we are here to guide you through this crazy ride that you just signed up for. So any issues you have, hit up your student government, even if it's tiny things like, I don't know what a loft kit is, or how does my meal plan work, because honestly, I don't know how any of that works when I was you. But it could also be heavy stuff like you're missing your family, or you feel lonely, or you have a hard time with grades. Whatever it may be, we're here for you to show you that you're not alone. And so that we can stay connected in the future after I get off the stage, follow our Insta at DePauw_studgov. Do it now. I know you all got your phones with you. And come and meet us in Hoover tomorrow during your lunchtime from 11 to 1 to chat with us, get our contacts, make some friends. But that's all from me. And remember, welcome to the best 4 years of your life. Now I have the pleasure of welcoming up our next speaker, the Mayor of Greencastle, Bill Dory.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Greencastle, class of 2023. Also extend our welcome to parents, returning faculty, and returning students as well. We appreciate having your energy on campus and in our community. I had the good fortune to marry into the DePauw family. My mother-in-law, my wife's aunt, 2 of my wife's uncles and 2 cousins are all alums. My mother-in-law and my wife's aunt and uncles actually grew up here in Greencastle, and to use perhaps an older term, were known as townies back then. Greencastle is a great community, and I would invite you to become engaged with our citizens, our local organizations, and places of worship. Greencastle is a typical small Midwest community. We are by no means the poorest community, but rather are reflective of a middle range of communities found here in the Midwest. Besides the university as a major employer and major economic driver, we have a strong industrial base, and if you've driven through a few of the cornfields getting here, you'll notice that agriculture is a strong component of our county. For those of you from larger, more urban communities, don't be alarmed if someone greets you around town. Just enjoy a bit of what we call Hoosier hospitality. My office and our city council, 2 members of which are on the faculty, Dr. Gary Lemon and Adam Cohen, extend an invitation to you to participate in our community events, such as our Farmers Market downtown on Saturday mornings, the Greencastle Music Festival, which will be coming up on August 23rd and 24th, the upcoming Taste of Putnam County on September 6th. We encourage you to explore our community, attend these events, enjoy our People Pathways trail system, and visit our local restaurants and businesses. Continuing the theme of engagement, my children benefited from students such as yourselves volunteering in our local schools. My wife teaches music at Greencastle Middle School and has a partnership with the School of Music. So all of you who are in the School of Music, hopefully you'll be joining her classroom at some time. She looks forward to having the students come and participate in the curriculum there. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with student interns and host honor scholars. Several of our local companies host interns during the school year and during the summer. You're invited to explore and take advantage of these opportunities. I would like to send a special welcome to our international students. We thank you for sharing your culture with our community. We want you to know that Greencastle is truly connected to the global economy, not just here on campus, but also in our diverse industrial base. We host 2 Japanese companies and a subsidiary of an Italian company. All of our companies here in town purchase and sell products in the global marketplace. Our community wants you to be successful, both on campus and in the community. The city shares responsibility with DePauw's Office of Public Safety for your safety here in the community. We also espouse a zero-tolerance policy. Please do not hesitate to ask for assistance. Several of our officers live close to campus, so you will often see police cars in the area. We're not necessarily picking on DePauw students. Our police chief, in fact, lives 2 blocks south of campus. Our fire station is just north of campus. Our county ambulance service, founded many years ago, actually by DePauw students, is just east of campus, and our local hospital is just south of the city. Please don't burn the popcorn. My office is downtown. If there's anything I can do for you during your tenure here at DePauw, please let me know. On behalf of the City of Greencastle, our local elected officials, our City Council, and all of our city employees, we welcome you to Greencastle and offer best wishes for success over the next 4 years as you work towards your graduation. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Greg Schwipps, Professor of English, for the faculty greeting, and understand he needs no introduction other than next.
Thank you, Mayor Dory. I confess that I have given a version of this speech before. In 2011, I addressed the opening convocation. I wrote that speech in the hospital waiting room because our first child had come 5 weeks early and stayed in the NICU for 9 days. Like a college student, I had procrastinated not writing the speech, thinking I could work on it the week before the convocation. So I offer immediately my first piece of advice. Sometimes the babies come early, don't put off your work. The incoming students from that audience have long since graduated, and some of them have babies of their own. I know because I open the Facebook from time to time. So I gave my speech last time with a hospital bracelet on my wrist. Today, my little baby can not only walk, but he can stand on his head for 10 minutes and pretty much walk on his hands. Everyone has gifts. I've played him in air hockey 30 times, and the best I've ever finished is second place. He has a brother, 17 months younger, so things change. People find their feet, you will too. As a repeater, I am self-conscious about being up here again. Trust me when I say there are many, many talented faculty who could deliver a convocation speech better than I can. You need to hear their voices, and you will, starting next week. You're lucky. But I am up here for two reasons. One, the senior class of 2019 nominated me. They were a great group, a class that left a positive mark on this university, and I am honored they chose me. They didn't always have the best luck during their time here. Even their commencement day was a rainy one. But they persevered and did amazing things during their days on campus. I thank them, and I'm trying to honor them somehow today. Secondly, I grew up with an older and a younger brother, and I learned one lesson very early. If you get a chance at a microphone, you better take it. So, more advice. Your voice has value, and when you get invited, step up and take the mic. Incoming students, in this time of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, when your thoughts and images can be broadcast worldwide the second you think them, I wish only that I had an audio recording of what you said this morning as your minivan or SUV packed to the headliner angled down off the interstate onto Highway 231. What did you say to your parents and siblings? What crossed your mind as you realized you were getting close to Greencastle? Because whether your journey to this place began in Africa or Cloverdale, you had to know you were almost here. I ask because I know what I thought when the minivan carrying my shower tote and Motley Crue cassette tapes came down the ramp from I-70 in the fall of 1991. I looked at my parents seated in the front and I said, I can't do this. Turn around, I'm going home. My younger brother was in the back seat with me and I remember him laughing. Look at how nervous he is. He yelled, he's gonna puke, Mom. He can't take it. He can't take it. Let me interrupt my own speech for a public service announcement of sorts. New students, the other thing I remember about that day is how many mistakes my parents kept making. It was embarrassing. Looking back on it, I think they were probably doing all right. It's a tough day for parents, I've since learned. They're all going to cry as they drive back to the interstate. So be nice to them, will you? End of PSA. Well, no wonder I had doubts. See, I was a DePauw student, but I didn't fit in too well here, at least not initially. I came from a town smaller than Cloverdale, and I came right off the farm. I had graduated 14th out of 50 kids, not from an elite prep school, but from a tiny public school in the rural community of Milan, Indiana. My mom taught first grade. My dad was a farmer and a welder. I came to DePauw when admissions was desperate and forced to take just about every student who applied. If I had known more about the school and how badly I would stick out here, I would not have come. I was as green as the corn on my dad's farm. When I moved into Humbert 419, I had never attended a poetry reading, but I had held witness at a dozen tractor pulls. I'd never been skiing, played golf, or traveled out of the country. The summer before I came to DePauw, my brother and I helped our dad pack a prolapsed uterus back into a cow. It'll be fun to tell my new friends this story, I thought. Well, my new friends weren't into that. My randomly assigned roommate came from a private school in Chicago. His dad had recently been on Good Morning America as the president of the Endodontist Association. My roommate was pre-med, and he already seemed smarter and more mature than most of the professionals I'd met back home. On the first night, my roommate stayed up late studying the packet of optional reading material our academic advisor had passed out as suggested reading. He took notes while I was busy taping up my poison posters. By the way, I've often told that story about the cow, and my dad heard me use that line 8 years ago, leading him to remark to my brothers, "He's sure getting a lot of miles out of that uterus." I met other first years on Humbert 4. They all wanted to be doctors, dentists, and lawyers. I followed some of them into animal biology class, where they got A and A minuses, and I pulled down a rock-solid and respectable D, which stands for did not retain much. I called my younger brother on the landline and said, "I'm gonna tell you what, these DePauw kids are some smart sons of bitches now." I didn't know how to study. I hadn't read enough. I'd barely spent any time looking through a microscope. But DePauw was not then and is not now closed to kids from less typical backgrounds. The one thing I could do as well or better than some of my peers was write, so I worked as hard as I could to write the best papers using my floor mate's word processor. No one had laptops in those dark days of the early 90s. I spent time with my new friends, and we figured out each other's lives. I lived for a semester in London, spent a winter term teaching creative writing to junior high kids, and hosted the heavy metal radio show on WGRE alongside two of my new best friends. I took classes that changed my life from professors who were so good at their jobs I couldn't wait to emulate them. When I graduated from DePauw, I wasn't a better person, but I was a more complete and fuller version of myself. While on this campus, I became who I was meant to be. 10 years after our commencement, my group of friends and I were at Marvin's. All were back in Indiana for the alumni weekend that occurs here in early June. Looking at my friends around the table, it struck me, every single one of us was doing exactly what he had dreamed of doing while living in DePauw dorms as first-year students. It had not happened overnight, and it hadn't happened without a lot of hard work. But now Chad owned his own medical building and a dentistry practice in Noblesville. Tom was a partner with a law firm in Arizona, working alongside the beefy NFL ref Ed Hockley, who also happens to be an attorney. Jeff and Matt, my first-year roommate, were ER doctors in Chicago. And most unlikely of all, I was teaching in the same classrooms of Asbury where I had taken my creative writing classes. We had done it. With DePauw's help, we had made our dreams come true in uncanny fashion. Following my commencement and my time in graduate school, I returned to DePauw, where I've taught now for over 20 years. So I know a little bit about the transformative experience that awaits you here. And I know better than anyone that DePauw can shift the very axis of the earth, because that's what it did for me. In the time I've taught here, I've seen plenty of students come here great and leave even better, just as my roommate did. And I've seen an equally large number come here a little green, as I was, and leave a good deal more worldly and wise. So I've come to expect great things from you. There are things you need to understand, though. This is a very good school, working to become an even better one. It's certainly a stronger institution today than it was when it accepted me. But DePauw's reputation alone cannot transform you. There are possibilities here, and I promise you will not outgrow what this school offers you. You will not get bigger than this place. But they are only that, possibilities. If you intend to merely float through here and leave the same person you are today, then you can do that. But if you're here today, it means you've convinced admissions that you are not that kind of person. You are something more than a good test score, a respectable GPA, and a high-class rank. We hope you are. We hope you are someone who is willing to work. We hope you are ready to evolve into someone better than you are right now. We hope you want to improve the part of the world that touches you. And we hope you understand that this includes DePauw and Putnam County. DePauw currently faces its fair share of difficulties. Over the last 10 years, costs are up and enrollment is down. Let's face it, what we're doing here is an expensive model. No business person would recommend it. It's cheaper to mass produce everything, including education. But we're doing this in a way that has worked well for a long time. As I've heard Coach Lynch of DePauw's football team say about an upcoming stretch of games, we have challenges and opportunities. Well, DePauw does too. So do you. Know that there is a long list of smart people, some of whom you will meet and others you will never meet, who are working hard to make this the best place it can be. You're a big part of that. DePauw doesn't quit. I said earlier to grab the mic when you can, but let me also say this. This place has been here on this ground for over 180 years. DePauw's first students came to study on horseback down trails of mud. They were not tweeting while they did so. So while we respect your knowledge, try listening to the people on this stage and those working on this campus as well, including those busting it to serve your food, clean your dorms, fix your coffee, and mow the grass. And Greencastle has been here even longer than DePauw. So try listing out the things that are here instead of noting what is not. Everyone here can teach you things, but you need to first listen. I've learned that the longer I listen, the more likely I am to get handed a microphone. So while I'm curious about what you said as you turned onto Highway 231 this morning, and feel free to tweet that out into the world, know that it really doesn't matter. Whether you're scared to death or overconfident, you're starting over right now. Beginning today, you are both a DePauw student, all caps and exclamation points, and merely a DePauw student. You have arrived at a good undergraduate institution, along with tens of thousands of other talented, smart, well-groomed men and women across the planet. You've done everything, and yet you've done nothing. So who are you going to be? What are you going to do? You're here now, you'd better do something. Let me leave you with a tiny secret about your commencement robe, waiting for you somewhere out in the future. I have a cheap one, like yours will be. And it has these long sleeves that actually form a little pocket. Not a bad place for a handful of Skittles or a note. This past May, I reached into the pocket of my 20-plus-year-old robe that has been dry cleaned exactly once, and I found a strip of paper with a typed message on it. I felt like I'd never seen this before. It had been in there for so long. But at some point, I had written it and tucked it in there like a talisman. I unfolded the paper and it read, "You're not here to be mediocre. You are not here to be mediocre." I folded it and put it back in my pocket. Welcome to DePauw. Please enjoy "We Are" by Bob Chilcott.
We are more like than we are unlike, my friends. More like than we are unlike, my friends.
I note the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious, some thrive on comedy. Some declare their lives are good as streams of poverty.
Then we are unlike, my friends.
Others claim they really are unlike, my friends.
Then we are unlike,
My friends, of our skin tones can confuse, be loosed in that pink and purple, tan and blue and white. Then we are unlike,
We are more like, my friends.
I've sailed upon the seven seas and stopped in every land.
Like my friends.
I've seen the wonders of the world, not yet one common man.
My friends.
I know 10,000 women unlike, called Jane and Mary Jane,
then we are unlike.
But I've not seen any two who really were the same.
My friends, twins are different, though the features strive, and lovers think quite different lines. Side by side, by side, we weep on England's moors, and love the moon, and thrive on Spanish. We seek success in things that are born and die in major ways. We're different major, we're the same major, we're the same. We are
More like than we are unlike, my friends. More like than we are unlike, my friends.
I note the obvious differences between each sort and type,
Then we are unlike, my friends.
but we are more unlike, my friends, than we are unlike.
Then we are unlike, my friends, my friends.
Good afternoon. We are so happy that you are here. I am Mark McCoy. I'm the 20th president of DePauw, and I will tell you that my very first time at this convocation happens to have been the 2011 year that Professor Schwipps got up and gave a great speech. Now, one of the things you realize about being the president of DePauw is that you're always asked to speak last, and the person that speaks before you is invariably brilliant. So I would like you to join me in thanking the music school for singing in between the two of these speeches. Actually, I'll go one step further, and I'll tell you one real moment of vulnerability for me. At my inauguration, I found out that you get to invite the keynote speaker for your own inauguration. That's pretty cool. Go out and become a college president, and you get to pick who speaks at your inauguration. So, of course, I reached out to Vernon Jordan, who graduated from DePauw in 1957, civil rights leader extraordinaire, and one of the most powerful speakers. In fact, I encourage you to Google this. You can see him on YouTube. Give that speech. So he got up in this very space, at this very podium, and proceeded to give the most powerful speech I have ever heard. I was sitting right there. People in the audience were weeping while he was talking. He finished. Everybody stood up and cheered. He got like a 5-minute standing ovation in the middle of the inauguration. And I thought this was the greatest idea I had ever come up with until it dawned on me it wasn't over. I still had to speak next. And as I walked up to this podium, every eye in the place had the very same expression. I could tell what every single person in this room was thinking at that moment. They were all thinking 3 words: you poor man. So with a little practice, I'm now following up Professor Schwipps with a break in the middle. Thank you, Music School. And I'm here to tell you that it's my great pleasure and an honor to welcome you here. Parents and guardians and grandparents and friends and neighbors, welcome to this proud moment when you escort your loved ones across the threshold into this new world of learning. It's now our job to educate them until we escort them across the next threshold 4 years from now, when they become leaders the world needs. DePauw develops leaders the world needs. Class of 2023, this is a phrase you're likely to hear often in your time with us. The world is always in need of good leaders, perhaps never more so than today. Here, you will be exposed to a range of thoughts and thinking that will open your eyes to the possibility of the kind of leader you want to be. Your search for truth here will develop your core and your worldview and will have a profound impact upon the type of leader you become and the places you will lead us once you do. Maya Angelou's worldview is beautifully articulated in the poem that you just heard sung. Dr. Angelou, as she preferred to be called, and I have vastly different experiences. Her autobiographies recall events that I can only shudder to imagine, yet her spirit teaches me so much, especially in this hopeful poem called The Human Family. I asked my friends from the music school to sing a piece based on this work for you today, and I'd like to read the poem to you now. The Human Family by Maya Angelou. I note the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious. Some thrive on comedy. Some declare their lives are lived in true profundity, and others claim they really live the real reality. The variety of our skin tones can confuse, bemuse, delight. Brown and pink and beige and purple, tan and blue and white. I've sailed upon the 7 seas and stopped in every land. I've seen the wonders of the world, not yet one common man. I know 10,000 women named Jane and Mary Jane, but I've not seen any two who really were the same. Mirror twins are different, although their features jibe, and lovers think quite different thoughts, though lying side by side. We love and lose in China, we weep on England's moors, and laugh and moan in Guinea, and thrive on Spanish shores. We seek success in Finland, we are born and die in Maine. In minor ways, we differ. In major, we're the same. I note the obvious differences between each sort and type, but we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. The only thing that I could think of that would make this poem more beautiful was to sing it, and that's why I asked the music school to come and bring this poem to life for you. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. This is what many would call the common humanity worldview, finding the things that connect us to help us understand and bridge the things that divide us. Your class has students from 29 states, 20 countries, and 23 different denominations or religions. 69 are legacy students, and 94 are first generation. Multiple races and ethnicities abound. It is that difference that makes you strong. Take advantage of the opportunity to learn about a different culture or religion or experience or part of the world. Explore the many differences that make up our common humanity. Nicholas Christakis, in a book called Blueprint, says the following: my vision of us as human beings holds that people are and should be united by our common humanity. And this commonality originates in our shared evolution. It's written in our genes. Precisely for this reason, I believe we can achieve a mutual understanding among ourselves. In highlighting this, I want to be clear that I'm not saying that there are not differences among social groups. It's obvious that some groups struggle with social, economic, or ecological burdens that other groups can only imagine. But a focus on the differences among human groups overlooks another fundamental reality. Even though people may have varied life experiences, lived in different places, and perhaps look superficially different, there are significant parts of others' experiences that we can all understand as human beings. To deny this would mean abandoning hope for empathy and surrendering to the worst kind of alienation. This is a powerfully salient point. To deny our common humanity pushes us away from empathy and toward alienation. The author continues, in short, as a result of our long evolution for tribal competition, the human mind readily does dichotomous us versus them thinking. If we want to create welcoming, inclusive communities, we should be doing everything we can to turn down the tribalism and turn up the sense of common humanity. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King espoused this common humanity worldview when from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial he said, and so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. He encouraged us to be better than we were, to aspire to our very best when he said, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The unforgettable conclusion of that speech drives the idea of our common humanity home. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing, free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Perhaps it was stated most succinctly by Pauli Murray, an African-American lawyer, civil rights activist, and Episcopal priest who said, I intend to destroy segregation by positive and embracing methods. When my brothers try to draw a circle to exclude me, I will draw a larger circle to include them. When they speak out for the privileges of a puny group, I shall shout for the rights of all mankind. So the message I would like to place in your mind as you begin your college journey is this. There is no them. There is only us. The things that connect us help us understand and bridge the things that divide us. Our campuses, our countries, indeed our world's diversity is not a problem, it's a solution. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And it's not a weakness, it's a strength. Embrace that strength. Get out of your comfort zone. Travel abroad. Even better, study abroad. Even best, live abroad. Your view will never be the same. Take a class that scares you. Make a friend of someone who looks different than you. Go out of your way to challenge your worldview. Learn about your world by simply learning about your neighbor. Learn more about your neighbor by taking the effort to learn about your world. Be curious about those outside your experience. Seek to understand before being understood. Search for common ground. Find our common humanity. King and Christ and the Buddha each told us that hate cannot cast out hate. Only love can do that. Pauli Murray extolled us, draw a bigger circle. Christakis and innumerable other authors call upon us to celebrate our difference and to embrace our common humanity. And the brilliant Dr. Angelou said simply, we are more alike than unalike. There is no them. There's only us. Welcome to DePauw, class of 2023. Let us fully devote your 4 years here to learning and studying and welcoming and relishing and loving and supporting us. Do that, and you will be a leader the world needs. Welcome to DePauw. We're so glad you're here.
Hello, everybody. I'd like the audience to remain seated for a recessional. The students, after they've recessed, will go to their assigned classrooms, which they were given at check-in, and if by chance you don't remember, there will be mentors outside who will have assignment lists who you can ask. The parents will stay here for the parents' orientation, but everybody will remain seated until the recessional is over. Thank you.